And thank you guys so much for coming. My name is Annika Kashyap. I'm one of the associate directors of the College Ambassadorship program. And Smitha is our other associate director, and she's just going to give a little bit of an overview about what the College Ambassadorship program is before we get into the scholarships.
Yeah, so College Ambassadorship is a program that matches high school students with college mentors and helps high school students with anything ranging from college admissions to scholarships, for example, as our event is today. And beyond. And we're specifically focused on helping people who are interested in pursuing pre-health and STEM paths, but are hoping to expand in the future. And our program is a branch of the Student Science Innovation Network, which has several other branches as well. And overall, our goal is to provide resources that are free and accessible to all high school students to help with making the transition between high school and college easier and to make the college admissions process easy and transparent. I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself, and then everyone else will introduce themselves as well. So I'm Smitha. I'm a sophomore at Tufts University studying community health and women's gender and sexuality studies on the pre-med path. I'm very interested in learning more about maternal health disparities that BIPOC women face and intersectional feminism. But I'm also very interested in learning about ways that we can level the field of STEM education to make it accessible to everyone. And that's why I got interested in college ambassadorship.
Hi, everyone. My name is Annika. I am a sophomore at Rice University studying neuroscience and biochemistry and cell biology. And I'm very passionate about the intersection of ethics, neuroscience, and education. And so that ties really well into the College Ambassadorship program. And so I like to explore that through research, advocacy, and studying. I'll pass it off to Felicia.
Hi everyone, my name is Felicia. I am a junior at Rutgers University. That's a school in New Jersey, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it. I am studying biology and psychology. One of my biggest passions is studying how humans interact with one another, especially in society. Part of society is studying social structures, and a lot of students, they do not, due to various socioeconomic reasons, they cannot bridge the gap between high school and college. And so that's one of the reasons why I joined College Ambassadorship. And I'll pass it on to Manpreet.
Oh, Manpreet, I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry guys. Hey, how are you guys? My name is Manpreet. Currently, I'm also from Rutgers University in New Jersey. Currently right now a psychology and chemistry major in my junior year. And I would say my interests mainly stem from research. I think getting involved in research really got me involved in extracurriculars and everything. And when I saw college ambassadorship, I thought it was a great way to get involved and help out people who might have not known as much as I did before. And I think it's just a great way to help out people who are just basically as lost as I was maybe back then. And I guess Michelle, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and I'm a sophomore at Tufts University studying biomedical engineering. And I'm really passionate about studying biotechnology and the research and drug development process, such as like vaccines and all the stuff coming out about COVID. And then I'm also really passionate about promoting STEM to young girls, and like I'm doing a lot of extracurriculars related to that. Yeah. I'll pass it on to Raya.
Hi everyone, my name is Rhea Patton. I'm a senior at Florida Atlantic University, majoring in biology, and I'm very passionate about medicine and as well as giving back. Like Manpreet said, when I was in high school, there's a lot I didn't know about college, so I would love to, give back to other high school students and, help them in any way I can. So that's why I joined the College Ambassadorship program.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So these are going to be our panelists for today. And so basically our plan for today is we're going to first be talking about maybe how to go about finding scholarships, some websites to use, some considerations to keep in mind, and then some examples of scholarships to apply to, how to index scholarships, basically what questions you should ask yourself, because there are some really nuanced things that you don't really think about when you're looking at these scholarships, and then also how to maybe create a spreadsheet or things like that in order to make these scholarships, figure out which scholarships are best for you. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about the application process of applying to scholarships, and particularly how to go about essays for scholarships. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Manpreet, and he's going to start us off with how to find scholarships.
Sorry, guys. So the first thing you'll be thinking is you see loans, you see scholarships, you see grants. Well, the differences between scholarship, grants, and loans is loans are mainly you have to pay back their borrowed money. So you'll be essentially getting them from either the federal government or you'll be getting them from private banks. But those are usually charged with interest and you have to pay them back after you graduate, which might not be something that you're interested in doing. So there's another option where you can do grants, but grants are usually just financially based. So if you don't fall between a bracket, you might not be able to be eligible for a grant. And lastly, there's scholarships. Scholarships are free. You can apply to any scholarship that you like, anyone that interests you. And there's thousands and thousands of scholarships that are always being updated that you can apply to. Now, these scholarships, you might be thinking that might be like grants, but they're also based on merit. So let's say you have a special talent or trait or interest that like you're interested in women's studies, there might be an essay that focuses on women's studies that you might be interested in writing about. And some scholarships might only be $100 that might cover your tuition, or a scholarship could also be $1,000, which may cover maybe a tenth of your whole tuition. And when you're applying for scholarships, remember to not just apply based on money. Find one that interests you. If you have a topic for a scholarship, such as let's say an essay that you really like, something about sports maybe, or even about a past event, maybe find that scholarship, see if you like it, and just write about it. So yeah, these are just some websites that you can use, guys. The first website I would recommend using would be FastWeb. For FastWeb, it makes you create an account, but the account is free. And though when you create that account and give in some of your information, that account will give you some scholarships that might interest you. So instead of you looking through a broad section of scholarships, you might find one immediately like 40 or 50 scholarships that might interest you. And you guys might already be familiar with College Board as you're taking AP classes right now or something. College Board also offers scholarships, and you might already have an account, so you're already a step ahead of having a College Board scholarship. So just look at maybe different scholarships that the College Board can offer you. You might think of it as a a bad place because of AP scores and everything, but I think it's a great way to find scholarships. And another one would be Career One Stop. I think if you're looking for the most amount of scholarships, I think Career One Stop would be a great place. They have over 8,000 scholarships. Some might be $1,000, some might be $2,000. And there's different types of scholarships you can have. If you're not good at writing, you can have a no essay scholarship. And if you are an exceptional writer, which some of you might be, there's definitely some essays that will get you $1,000 just to help you with paying your tuition.
Some other things that you guys should be considering are that, you should really inquire with your high school guidance counselors or even contact college financial aid advisors at potential schools that you're looking to apply to or go to. They can often offer some great insight and, help you find scholarships. Another thing you want to do, which is very important in life in general, but especially in college, is budget your time. You want to commit to like finding and researching scholarships and the requirements. And I would try to aim to get about 2 to 3 per week. Another thing you want to do is research local scholarships in your state, in your area, because a lot of people tend to apply to the bigger scholarships, and those tend to be harder to get. So an example would be in Florida. At least we offer, we have the Florida Bright Future Scholarship. And basically they look at your GPA, volunteer hours, your SAT score, ACT score, and they provide you with a scholarship if you meet the eligibility requirements.
Okay, so I'm going to go over a couple of the big, large scholarships that have over $10,000 rewards. And so the first, I wanted to go through these because I feel like there's a lot of different scholarships that apply to a lot of different individuals. For example, the Amazon Future Engineer Scholarship Program is meant for students who, if you've taken an AP Computer Science course or even taken the exam and want to do something in computer science or engineering or software or some computer related field of study, you can apply to this scholarship, and it's a $10,000 scholarship. So that's very academic focused towards a specific thing. The Foot Locker Scholar Athletics Program, Scholar Athletes Program is a $20,000 scholarship, and it's not just one scholarship, it's 20 different people will receive this scholarship, and it's meant for student athletes. The Burger King scholarship is meant for if you've ever worked part-time at a specific, at any job part-time during your high school career, you can apply to this scholarship, and it's a $50,000 scholarship. The Ayn Rand Institute, the Fountainhead Scholarship, is another type of niche scholarship, which basically kind of is, if you've read one of Ayn Rand's books and write an essay about this book, you can apply to the scholarship, and it's a $10,000 scholarship. The Taco Bell Live Más Scholarship is different than other scholarships. It is a video scholarship. There is no minimum GPA, there's no minimum anything, and there's no special qualifications. It's just a video of you talking about your passions and what you want to do in life. And this is a $25,000 scholarship. All of the scholarships I've listed here are currently going and do not have deadlines yet. So I just wanted to put that out there. The Toyota Teen Drive 365 Video Challenge is a scholarship meant for driving safety. And if you make a video about how to be safe while driving and things like that, that's a $15,000 scholarship. And then we have the Dr. Pepper tuition giveaway, which is a bunch of smaller scholarships that kind of have different applications and different things associated, essays and things like that. And the Davidson Fellow Scholarship is, for example, if you've done something important, it's an important piece of literature, an important scientific project that you're working on, or important music composition, anything of the sort that you have created, you can apply to this Davidson Fellow Scholarship, and it's an amazing opportunity to get like a very large portion of your tuition covered. And while I wanted to go over just a few of these, I've actually linked all of these into the PowerPoint. So when we do send out the PowerPoint later, you can actually click on any one of these words and it'll take you directly to the website. This is one book that if you are interested in also having an additional resource, the Ultimate Scholarship Book 2021 is also another great resource that you can utilize because it has lots of these larger scholarships, but also a lot of smaller scholarships that are kind of hard to find and sift through online because you do have to apply a lot of filters and determine whether or not you're eligible for all of these scholarships. So this is another way of finding these scholarships. But one thing I would like to mention is please do not discount local scholarships. One very, very, very large portion of you have a much larger chance of receiving local scholarships than a lot of these larger scholarships just because of the fewer amount of people that apply to these local scholarships. And what I mean by local scholarships is, like, for example, your local Rotary Club or your local Elks Club or some religious or church organization in your area or some cultural group like the Asian and Pacific Islanders Association in your area. And you do not have to be a part of these groups in order to apply to most of these scholarships. Most of the time, they are accessible to all students who just live in that area. So by going about and looking for these specific large organizations that have local chapters within your area, a lot of the time they will give out scholarships just to students who live in that area. So a great way to find those is by, once again, looking up chapters, local chapters of large organizations like the Elks Club or the Rotary Club and things like that. as well as asking your high school guidance counselor, who might be more aware and more attuned to like what scholarships are accessible in your area, as well as talking to community leaders and church leaders and things like that, because they also might be aware, basically because they're also community groups and things like that. So it's very important not to discount local scholarships, even if they are less money, but because you will have a much higher chance of receiving these. So now that was just a little bit about like some of the bigger scholarships and how to find scholarships. And we just want to go over a little bit of how to find the best ones for you and questions to ask yourself when applying to these scholarships and finding.
So you want to ask yourselves these questions. That way you have a sense of direction as to what you're looking for. So the first thing you want to understand is what field of study are you going for? Now, you're probably in high school and you don't know what your major is going to be. You might not even know what you want to do later in life, but you want to have some sort of an idea just because it helps you find niche scholarships. For example, if you're really interested in psychology, you could definitely look for scholarships that are in that field. And the way it would work is if you're majoring in a certain field, if your study is related to that, you can be qualified for a particular scholarship. And then also, it's easier to write about something that you are passionate about than to write about something that you have zero interest in. So if you're a psychology student, you wouldn't be applying to a mechanical engineering scholarship. You wouldn't have any idea about it, and it would be a waste of your time. So that's just like very basic. Then you want to look at, well, what is a scholarship? What does it cover? Does it cover your tuition? Does it cover other expenses? You want to know this information. So let's say that you find a scholarship for $100 and they cover your tuition only. Then you can't really use that money for anything besides your tuition. But then there are some other scholarships that will cover very school related expenses, usually school supplies. And so that could buy you an entire textbook. So you want to be on the lookout for those. You want to look at whether the money goes directly to the school or whether it goes to you. So there are many scholarships for various sums of money that will go directly to your school. And those usually only cover your tuition. But then the scholarships that go to you, they can literally cover anything, and that's what you want to go for. A lot of local scholarships are actually just checks. And so that's another reason why you should be looking at local scholarships. I remember when I was in high school, I applied to so many, like at the Rotary Club. There was like an Asian Indian students organization, and they were doing a scholarship as well. And that definitely increases your chances. And even if it's only like $100, $500, that could be like 2 textbooks. And so that really helps. Then you want to look at the nitty gritty details of each scholarship. So you want to look at the terms and the conditions. How long do you have to be in college in order to qualify for the scholarship? Can you only be a high school student? Can you also be a college student? What's like the detail behind that? So for a lot of bigger scholarships, usually like for $50,000, $10,000, it might not be for only a year. It might be $50,000, but for 4 years, right? So you want to know how long are you planning on going to college for? For a lot of students, if you're only going to community college, you won't be there for 4 years. So you might not actually qualify for some of them. So that might not be an option for you. And then you want to look at minimum GPA. So once again, a lot of the bigger scholarships, they might say $10,000 over the course of 4 years, but your GPA has to be a 3.5. That's something that's really important. We all hope to do well in college, but of course some majors can be very challenging, especially things like engineering. So if you're not willing to bet on that, maybe you should look for other scholarships that don't have that requirement. It's all about being safe. So you want to make sure that you're getting some money than nothing. Then you have to look at, once again, terms and conditions. Does the scholarship let you apply for grants? Because for some scholarships, if you get a scholarship, but you're also getting a grant, that might not actually count for you. some schools have a rule where if you get a scholarship from outside organizations, so not through the school directly, then that can actually decrease the amount of grants or financial aid that you get through the school. So that's something to keep in mind. And then look at whether or not an interview is required for it. So when you're applying for all these scholarships, it's very time consuming. And so sometimes you might not actually have the time to write an essay, wait a period of time to get selected, and then do an interview. So you want to make sure that you budget your time correctly. This is also why local scholarships are better, because for a lot of the local scholarships, you do not need to do an interview. I noticed that for the bigger scholarships for, $5,000, $10,000, a lot of them did have an interview required. And that's a very time consuming option. So especially when you're filling out college applications, you do not want to be doing more interviews for a scholarship. So definitely keep that in mind. I'm not saying that bigger scholarships aren't a good option, but it's all about budgeting. This is like a sample spreadsheet. So, well, there's actually some information that you could also add. So I'll go over this. First, you want to make sure that you write down the name of a scholarship. This is very important. You might actually want to include a link as well, just so you could get there quicker. You want to look at how much money is being awarded and what the essay prompt is. So in this example, I wrote $500 and the essay prompt is contributions to my community. And then you want to write like a rough estimate of how long you think it's going to take you. So I wrote over here average. So you could actually rank it. So quick, average, time consuming. And then you want to make sure that you write down the deadline. When you're organizing this, you want to make sure that you want to organize it by time frame. So if something is due on December 2nd versus another one that's due on like December 25th, the one for December 2nd should be at the very top because that's urgent, right? And then you also want to, once again, put the links. Don't waste your time trying to search it up, find the scholarship again. A lot of these apps that you use, the ones that Manpreet went over, they have like 20 different scholarships from one company, but all of them are different niches. So you want to have quick, easy references. That's all for this. You could definitely customize it to whatever your needs are, but make sure that's easily accessible.
And so those are just some tips and tricks on how to index scholarships and figure out, basically organize yourself on how to apply for these scholarships, because there are a lot of nuanced questions. Like, for example, how Felicia mentioned earlier, sometimes you have to maintain a specific GPA throughout your time in college in order to qualify, and you definitely don't want to lose that scholarship. So it's just an important thing to keep in mind. And some require essays, some require no essays, some require videos, some require interviews, and it's definitely something you want to keep track of and want to be well aware of and note down when you're applying. But right now we're going to be talking about applying with writing scholarships, and like where an essay is required specifically. So that's what we're going to be basically going over now, with some tips and tricks on how to do essays for scholarships that require essays.
So the most important thing when writing an essay for a scholarship is making sure that you really understand the question or prompt that's being asked of you. So a lot of scholarships are for specific niches. So you're trying to show your interest or experience in that kind of type of area. So like personally, like I applied to like scholarships that dealt with like a person, and this was honoring a person. And so you had to kind of embody the traits of that person in your essay. So like really understanding what the question or prompt is asking of you is the biggest tip I can give for writing a scholarship essay. And for most essays, there's no really requirement for like what type of essay you need to write. You can be really free and open and really express yourself and your writing style when you're writing these essays. So you just have to make sure that they correspond to the scholarship at hand. And then some common scholarship essay questions that I've seen, like while applying to scholarships and while searching them up, is like, how will the scholarship help you? Like explain your future goals and how the scholarship might like help you attain them, and also like how do you embody the goals of the scholarship. So once again, really understand the question at hand, the prompt at hand, and express yourself while you're writing these essays. And then some essay tips and considerations that I have is to fully answer the prompt. Always really important for any essay, as you've known from school and stuff like that. Also, choose a topic that you're passionate about, because that's only going to make writing the essay much easier. And then you want to try to make your essay personal. You don't want to sound like a robot writing this essay. You want to make it about yourself and about your experiences and interests. So make sure to make your essays really personal. And also always have a secondary source to proofread your essays. So this could be a parent, this could be a friend, this could be a mentor. Anyone, as many eyes as you can get on an essay is always helpful in creating the best version of it that you can. And then also consider reusing different essays you've already written. This is only going to make the process faster and more effective, and this will allow you to spend less time at your computer writing your essay. So if you applied to college, you already have a bunch of supplemental essays in the Common App, and these are really good starting points from which you can edit your essay and make it more personal to the scholarship. So great tip is to like use those Common App essays and supplementals and make them fit the question at hand.
Yeah, so one thing I'd like to mention is it's very similar to the college essay process, is people think it's a completely different process and completely separate. But number one, you can reuse a lot of your essays, and just like you don't beg a college to let you in like that, but you prove that you are a great candidate and very qualified and like that. It's the same way with a scholarship. You're not trying to beg for the money. You're trying to show them why you are the best fit and the best candidate and the best person that they can give the money to. It's a very different way of looking at it, I would feel. And it's a similar way of looking at it as you would for applying to colleges in the college essay process. And so that's just a really important consideration to keep in mind. So now we're basically going to go into a question and answer session. Thank you guys so much for coming. If you have to leave, but otherwise, we are here to answer any questions that you would like. Our website is up there, our email is up there, and we can go back to any slide if you'd like to. And yeah, you can just shoot your question in the chat or unmute yourself, whichever is more comfortable for you. And we'll just do it first come, first serve.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask some of the questions that were sent in, and then we'll go into addressing any questions that people have or like whatever people sent in the chat. So one big question is how to best represent oneself during the time of COVID-19, which I'm sure is a concern for a lot of people. So I think it'd be good if we could answer that. If any of the panelists can speak to that, that'd be awesome.
I can speak to that if you'd like. So yeah, there is obviously the pandemic going on. The pandemic definitely stopped you from doing many things that you wanted to do. A lot of your organizations and clubs probably got canceled. And so that does take away from your experiences. But let's say that you're applying senior year, chances are you've done something in the past 3 years that was meaningful to you. And then also, you're here with us right now, right? Like you're looking for a mentor actively, you're seeking advice. I would suggest reach out to your mentor and talk to them personally about how to frame your essay. Because let's say that you're missing out on some experiences, which is very possible and likely, you want to make sure that at least your essay is framed so that it shows the best version of yourself. If this is like a last minute thing for you, then that's like the best that you can really do. So that's like one little advice, but I'm sure that people probably have more to say.
Yeah, I'd like to just jump off of that is like, don't emphasize the things that and complain about the things you weren't able to do, because While it's very, very unfortunate that this is all happening and that a lot of experiences were canceled, it's pretty much been universal. And these scholarship people do understand that and do see that, yes, a lot of people's experiences have been reduced and have been affected. But just focusing on the things you have done and how you will perhaps try to continue to do those things once you enter college or once the pandemic is over, and taking that positive spin on it and showing that future dedication is also very beneficial to show it's you won't let something get you down. You will continue to pursue your passions and pursue the things you're interested in the future, even if you can't do so at the moment. And so it's just very important to show that perseverance and that persistence, especially.
Nice. Does anyone else have any other thoughts? Otherwise, we can move on to another question. Okay, cool. So another question asked was that I didn't really involve myself in extracurriculars prior to the pandemic, and I'm in 11th grade. So this person is thinking about, getting closer to applying for college and scholarships and stuff. So the person asks, what can I do to make myself a strong applicant for scholarships despite my inactivity?
I guess I'll say something about that. Like we said, not all scholarships are merit based. So even if you feel like you don't have the qualities that might be basically what a organization is looking for, you could always just write an essay where they're purely basing your scholarship on that essay in comparison to other people. So if you feel like you are a great essay writer and you can write a good story based on a personal experience or even about the subject, they won't worry about your academic or your extracurriculars. They're more focused on your essays compared to other applicants.
Yeah, and one more thing I just like to say off that is just also emphasize your passions, emphasize what you want to do, is because a lot of these essays and a lot of these scholarship essays are going to ask about, oh, like maybe what are your passions, what are your goals for this scholarship, what are your goals in college, and why do you think the scholarship will help you get there to those goals? And so just emphasizing that is also really great. One question we have in the chat is, do you have any advice for showing other people essays that are very personal? Does anyone want to talk about that?
I think one thing is, I mean, speaking just from like any essay in general, if it does have, things that you want to be confidential, definitely send it to someone you trust, like send it to a close friend that you trust or even a family member. I would not share it with I mean, if you feel comfortable, for example, if you're in our program and you have a mentor that you feel very close with and feel comfortable sharing that essay with, go ahead. I think this kind of is just very dependent on your personal comfort level, all just is very according to you. If anyone else has any additional thoughts to bounce off of that.
Also, if you don't want to share your essay with anyone, let's say, find particular things about your essay and form general questions that you can ask someone. So maybe you're really concerned about your grammar. Find maybe write similar sentences with the same grammatical issues and ask someone to check that. Or definitely use online resources. A lot of YouTube videos are coming up about writing personal essays. You can find them anywhere. Just search up how to write a personal essay. Look at examples online. Once again, form general questions and ask them vaguely to people that you do trust. You don't always have to share a personal essay. I know a lot of people, back when I was in high school, I know a lot of people wrote very personal essays. They never shared them, but they did ask many questions about them anyway. So there's always a way around it. You just have to do some more critical thinking.
Yeah, that's an awesome tip for making those essays kind of rewording them in a way that people can still give advice without kind of putting that confidential information out there. Does anyone else have any other tips regarding sharing a more personal essay? If not, we can just move on to another question that was sent in. This one I think is really good. How should we go about getting letters of recommendation from the same professor for scholarships and future endeavors without them feeling like you're a bother?
I think I'll answer this one. I think one important thing that you guys should do is build a rapport with these professors. You should be going to their office hours, getting to know them, because it's kind of hard for a professor to give you a recommendation letter if they don't really know who you are or much about you. So you definitely want to, take the time to actually, interact with them, and you're more likely to get a letter of recommendation.
Yeah, and that applies to like your high school teachers as well, is you want to make sure that you build that relationship with your teachers and, just make sure, yes, like you want to be cognizant of their time and their things. You don't want to give it like in the middle of like the day before grades are due or something like that. But just like, by spacing it out and asking for those letters of recommendation or asking them, oh, hey, since you wrote me a letter of recommendation in the past, since it's a really similar scholarship, if you could just reword it just a little bit and like allow me to send the same letter in, then it could also be a really great way of asking them for two letters of recommendation without seeming like a bother, because it's more of editing the first rather than rewriting a whole letter and kind of making it easier on them. But yeah, just one more thing I'd like to add about like scholarships in college is there are so many little tiny scholarships at your university that like so many people don't know about. I feel like I don't know if this is a super common thing, but at least from my personal experience, is if you contact the heads of the department that you're at, like the natural science department or the engineering department, they have micro scholarships for like between 100 to like $2,000, somewhere like a small scholarships, um that like literally so many people qualify for, and they're so easy to get because so few people even know about them. I applied to a few at my university, and those were probably the easiest scholarships I got in from high school, from college, whatever, just because I contacted the heads of my department and I contacted the office of academic advising and things like that. So it's very important to just, you should be aware that this is a possibility, and you should be open to like try and go after those opportunities and go ask around and things like that.
Cool. So it seems like another question in the chat is, should we ask different teachers for recommendations or just have a set of specific teachers to always have for recommendations?
I'll answer this one. I think an important thing to do is to ask different professors to highlight, like in their letter of recommendation, certain qualities about you. Like you don't want all your professors saying like the same thing. So say like in one class you displayed certain qualities, ask them to, uh, focus mainly on that. So that way you have diverse letters of recommendation that really, show the type of person you are and explain your character properly.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on that? If not, at this point, if anyone wants to unmute themselves and like ask a question, if it's like a longer question that you don't want to type out in the chat, for example, feel free. Um, we'll just give it a minute or so for people to do that.
How do you find local scholarships?
Okay, I can talk a little bit about this, and then I think Felicia also applied to a couple local scholarships, so if she wants to like add as well. So I think a couple of the ways that I went about looking for local scholarships is number one, I talked to a lot of my teachers at my high school. And because a lot of them were in these organizations, like I had a teacher who was actually in the Rotary Club, and she was the one who suggested, oh, you should apply to our local scholarship. And then I had family friends who were in Asian and Pacific Islander Association, and they helped me find the scholarship that I applied for in that organization. Sometimes school organizations do that as well. For example, I was really involved with the YMCA, and they also have scholarships. And so it's mainly what I would say is like look up these large organizations, like even just a big list of like big organizations that give up scholarships, and then Google like Rotary Club and then your city name, or Elks Club and then your city name. And usually they have their own website, and you can find a way to like figure out or call them or email them and see if they have any of those scholarships, because it's usually the local chapters of large groups.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good way to go about it. Another way is find Instagram accounts. So if you know that there's like a church near your house, find their Instagram, apply, see what they're offering. Because you know what it is, like a lot of local organizations, they probably, restaurants, churches, gyms, these places do have Instagram accounts. They are promoting their company nonstop. Find find resources there. I know like so many people did that and they found scholarships, and you wouldn't have even thought that they were doing something. And so it was like the easiest way to get a scholarship. I think like barely anyone applied. So it was like a free $100.
Also adding on, your teachers and your guidance counselors are really good points of reference. So your guidance counselors, like they are very knowledgeable about this. So like at my school specifically, the guidance counselors actually would compile a booklet of scholarships for us, which was really helpful. But reach out to them. They probably know about scholarships in your area that you could be applying to or could be eligible for. So really use those resources at school.
Okay, one question we got in the chat is about the College Board scholarships and the AP exam scores. Okay, so College Board, I think we all graduated high school before College Board implemented their program that allows you to get like in this draw for a whole bunch of scholarships because you like study on Khan Academy and then take your SAT multiple times, and now there's like scholarships for that or something along those lines. But like I think the College Board program that the College Board website that Manpreet was talking about earlier is mostly just a very similar to like scholarships.com and FastWeb, and it's just a conglomeration of different types of scholarships. You don't get to automatically enter any of those. It's the same type of application process. It's just that these are accessible through the College Board's website, and you can find them through there. It's not that you get automatic acceptance based on your scores or anything like that. But I know that the College Board has like a new scholarship system or something along those lines for like certain things that you do in high school. Like, I don't know. I know like one of them is retaking the SAT, and like one of them is like studying on Khan Academy for a certain number of hours or something like that. And feel free to continue asking questions if anyone else has any questions. All right. Thank you so much. If not, thank you guys so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Feel free to check out our website and to sign up for our newsletter. We send out a lot of information, a lot of opportunities. about high school and college admissions and lots of things like that. So thanks for coming, guys. Bye. All righty. Let me close the recording.